In the last video, we saw that the baby rabbits transformed into beasts under the influence of the blue moon. But that was just a temporary intermediate phase that was required for them to become adults. Park Sejun was surprised and relieved as they turned into adult rabbits. But while 4 of the rabbits turned into adult farming rabbits, 1 of them turned into a black warrior rabbit. They also had a unique tool they could summon now, and they used it to help their parents with farming. Only the black rabbit was unemployed because there was no need to fight in the cave. But then he got his job, catching fish from the pond. Even though the initial attempt went horribly wrong, he quickly adapted to his role. Soon, the seed store reopened, and Sejun had 3 seed options again. But they were more expensive than the last time, and there was only one thing Sejun could afford. So he bought 200 waxy corn seeds for 0.5 tower coins, thinking that it was not a bad option anyway. But then he got concerned that he had no way to earn money while he was stuck in the cave. And even the tower manager told him that he could only give tower coins to him after he reached 300 years of age. But then one day, the poison honeybee and the black warrior rabbit noticed something at the cave entrance and became wary of an invader. Sejun also noticed it and thought that it is a monster. But the person at the gate told them that they were misunderstanding. He was only a wandering merchant. And as he jumps inside the cave, we see a talking cat named Theo. This chapter starts with Theo introducing himself as a wandering merchant to Sejun. But Sejun is shocked to see a talking cat, and the black warrior rabbit behind him is still suspicious of the cat. But then Sejun remembers that he heard that sometimes people meet a traveling merchant as they go up the tower. But he was not expecting the traveling merchant to be a cat. But Sejun finds the cat merchant quite adorable. He looks at his big and shiny eyes and his soft and chubby cheeks, and the soft, jelly-like paws of his outstretched hand. Sejun wants those jelly paws to knead on him, and he exclaims inside his mind that this was completely unfair. With a merchant so cute, it would be easy to scam people. And by people, he means himself. Sejun really liked cats, but as the cat merchant asks him if he is Park Sejun, he tries to act cool. He confirms his identity and then asks the merchant what he wants. Theo says that he heard about a new rookie who made transactions in the seed store, and he was here to greet him and make some deals with him. Sejun is curious about the deals and asks Theo more about them. The cat merchant rummages inside his bag and says that he has some pretty good items. But his stomach growls loudly, and now Theo is nervous. He apologizes to Sejun, saying that he had not eaten anything today. And he ended up showing an embarrassing image to a customer. As Theo nervously laughs about the silly thing, Sejun is staring at him curiously. And then he has an evil and mischievous grin on his face. It seems like he is up to something, probably something like taking advantage of the cat merchant. Sejun asks him if he heard his name correctly, was it Theo? And he offers him a roasted fish with a bright smile on his face. Theo is so shocked by the sudden offer that he meows out loud. His eyes glisten, his mouth drools, and his ears twitch as he looks at the delicious roasted fish. And Sejun asks him not to decline his offer. But Theo controls his hunger and tells Sejun that it's alright. He cannot touch a customer's food. Sejun is taken aback slightly and tries to convince the cat merchant again. He asks if Theo really does not want to eat it. He talks about the smell of the tender meat grilled on fire. As Sejun holds Theo's shoulder, he says that the fish had that distinct fishy flavor that cats can't refuse. And it seems like his words were working as Theo drooled over the fish again. Sejun says that it was obvious that Theo wanted it, and he could have it too. And as Sejun persuades him, Theo cannot stop drooling. He tries his best to stop himself from eating the fish, but as Sejun pushes it closer to him, he finally gives in. He eats a lot and is finally satisfied. Theo says that he is full now as he happily lays down on the ground, holding a fishbone. He says that the fish was so delicious, and now he was full. And Sejun tends to the fire while saying that Theo ate 5 fish. He must have been really hungry. Theo gets up and sincerely thanks Sejun. He says that he gave him such a nice treat, and he does not know how he can thank him enough. And Sejun smiles at him and says that it was no big deal. He should be the one who is thankful. After all, Theo came all the way here to meet him. And as Theo grabs his bag once again and starts talking about the deal, Sejun asks him for 0.5 tower coins. Theo asks him what he meant, and Sejun replies with a smile that he should pay for the roasted fish he just ate. Theo is shocked, and he panics as he asks Sejun if the fish wasn't free. And Sejun replies that nothing in this world is ever free. And since Theo said that he was here to make a deal, he was not going to eat his customer's fish and run away. As Sejun says, Theo is nervous, and then he looks around himself, and that nervousness increases. The black rabbit and the poison honeybee were ready with their weapons, and even the farming rabbits were ready to beat Theo if he tried to leave without paying. With tears in his eyes, Theo pays 0.5 tower coins to Sejun, and Sejun thanks him for that, even though he just scammed the poor cat. As he checks his balance, Sejun is happy that he got some tower coins, but Theo is dejected and sad as he realizes that he was scammed. He is crying because instead of earning money, he lost it. He came here to earn some money from the customer but ended up paying him. His business had already started at a loss, but then he brings his emotions under control. Theo is determined that he will not be defeated like this. He will definitely sell all his items here. He loudly says that it is his turn now, and he requests that Sejun look at his items. He opens the cloth bag and unfurls it to display the items he has. Theo proudly displays them and asks Sejun what he thinks of them. They were luxury items from another floor, and on the cloth, there are 3 items with their prices shown on an information window. The first is a tumbler worth 5 tower coins. Then there is a mini fan worth 5 tower coins. And lastly, there is a portable hand warmer that is also worth 5 tower coins. Sejun asks Theo if these items weren't from outside the tower, and he says that Sejun really noticed it. The rabbits also gather around them, and they are curious about the items. Theo starts his sales pitch and tells Sejun that the tumbler has preservation magic. It will maintain the temperature of the things kept inside it, whether they are hot or cold. Then he talks about the mini fan, which has a wind magic enchantment, and whenever they need wind, they can just press the buttons. As Theo demonstrates how the mini fan works, Sejun stares at him in disbelief. He apologizes for cutting off Theo when he was talking, but he had to tell him the truth about the items he was selling. The cat merchant asks what was wrong, and Sejun says that all the items he brought were trash. Theo is shocked and angry. He shouts at Sejun and asks him what he is talking about. These items were from outside the tower, and how could someone not recognize their value? As he says this, Theo collects his items close to himself, and even the rabbit next to him is disappointed. Sejun tells Theo that he was also someone who had come here from outside the tower, and the terrible truth dawns upon him as he loses his confidence. Sejun explains that there was no magic in the items he was trying to sell. The tumbler prevented heat transfer by blocking contact with the outside, and the portable fan and hand warmer operated on batteries. If they used them only for a few hours, their batteries would run out. Sejun presses the buttons on the fan as Theo watches in confusion. The cat merchant gets angry and says that Sejun was lying. Scarum, the person who sold these items to him, said that there was magic inside them. But the fan is about to stop now as the battery has run out, and Sejun points that out to Theo. Theo loses his calm and starts hitting the fan so that it can start working again. He also changes his formal accent to a natural one where he talks more like a cat, and Sejun tells him that he got scammed by that traitor named Scarum. Theo is depressed, and he can still not believe it, and Scarum was so kind to him. He starts crying and says that Scarum was a bad goblin, and Sejun notices that Theo has changed his accent. And then the cat starts crying, saying that why did he always get scammed. Sejun tries to comfort him and asks him to tell him about what happened. In the background, the rabbits are checking out the items that Theo brought with him. The sad cat merchant starts his story. He was from the 75th floor of the tower, which was one of the tower's neutral zones. And for the longest time, he had been in love with a cat named Meryl. She was the most beautiful girl in their Granner village. And finally, one day, he gathered the courage to propose to her in front of everyone. As the villagers cheered him on, Theo told Meryl that he liked her and asked her to date him. He presented her with a bouquet of fish, but Meryl did not seem interested. She clearly depicted her disgust at the poor bouquet Theo was giving her. She slapped it away, saying that the smell of cheap rice fish disgusts her. Theo was taken aback and asked Meryl what she was doing. He had worked hard to get those roasted rice fish. But then another shock came for Theo. Someone told him to know his place and asked how dare he try to win Meryl's over. And as Theo turned back, he saw Oren, the son of the richest cat in the village. He was well dressed and carrying a big and beautiful fish as a gift. Oren laughs at Theo and asks that how could he give a low-grade rice fish to a lady. And he says that he should have brought at least a high-quality salmon as a gift. With that, Oren presents the salmon to Meryl, and she looks happy upon seeing it. A flustered Theo says that Meryl doesn't even like greasy food because she is afraid that she will gain weight. But then Meryl speaks for herself and says that the fish was so beautiful. Theo is shocked and heartbroken as he hears those words. Oren has his arm around Meryl now, and he was taking her to his home to enjoy the salmon properly, and she was happy to go with him. Theo tells her to wait and stops her by grabbing her arm. And from his point of view, it is like a scene from a romance drama. He is the handsome but poor protagonist, and the woman he loves is going with a rich guy. Theo asks Meryl about all the moments they shared together and all the memories they made. But Meryl replies that she didn't mean any of it, it was all a lie. but she is shuddering as she says these words, and Theo says that he can see her tears. Could she swear that all that was a lie? He thinks back about the unforgettable days when they used to play in the flower fields. But Meryl angrily frees her hand from Theo's grip. She is angry, and that is the reason why she was shaking earlier. She asks Theo not to get ahead of himself. She just smiled at him a few times, and he got delusional that she liked him. And even though she said that she really did not like him, he kept following her. And in her memories, it was clear that she was running away from Theo because he annoyed her. And then she says that she hates poor cats who smell like cheap rice fish the most. And as she points at Theo, he is left speechless. He falls into the pit of despair. Meryl was taken away by Oren, the son of the richest cat in the town, and Theo ran away crying. He decided to run away from his village and become a traveling merchant with the determination to become rich one day to get his revenge. As Theo has finished telling Sejun and the rabbits the first part of his story, they are nervous and feel bad for him. Sejun feels guilty for scamming him now. Theo says that he even went through the necessary procedure and brought the license and other important stuff required to become a traveling merchant. And that cost him his lifelong savings, worth 50 tower coins. He was planning to buy something to resell from the peddler with the remaining 5 tower coins. And that was when he got scammed by Scaram. Theo was in an inn when a goblin called him and asked him if he was a new wandering merchant. The goblin told him that his name was Scaram, and he asked Theo to ask him if there was anything he needed to know. And being a naive cat, Theo believed him. In the inn, Scaram told Theo about items from outside the tower. He was shocked, and Scaram said that they were really precious and that he was only telling this to Theo. He said that if Theo took these items to the upper floors, he could make quite a profit. The creatures on the upper floors collect such things as a hobby. Theo was curious about why Scaram was selling such precious things to him at such a low price. Scaram replied that it was because he came to like the cat merchant, and this could be considered the goodwill of a senior who wants to train their junior merchant. Then Scaram told Theo that if he did not like the deal, it was not a problem for him. He could sell them to any other merchant. And poor Theo immediately bought the items as soon as he heard this line. Scaram then told the cat that since he was in a good mood, he would also give him a bonus. He handed him a piece of paper and said that this was a map with the location of the new user of the seed store. And since it was a new member, Theo could make a great profit from him if he was lucky. But even that information was not really a bonus. Scaram told Theo that since he had given him good information, the drinks would be on him tonight. And poor Theo accepted this offer and even thanked the scammer. So Theo gave all his remaining money to Scaram and bought these items. He had high expectations that he would be able to resell them for a high price. So he starved himself along the way and barely ended up here. As he tells this to Sejun, he is quite sad. But then he starts rolling on the floor and crying. He says that all of the items turned out to be trash. And on top of that, the customer took his remaining money by trapping him with fish. And he cries that he is not really good at anything. Sejun thinks that the cat merchant was really a pushover, but then he suddenly gets an idea. He remembers something, and that was a way he could use it to gain tower coins. Sejun smiles and tells Theo to calm down. He even offers to eat some roasted fish to cheer him up. But Theo has learned from his mistake and says that Sejun was just going to ask him to pay later. He was not stupid to fall for the same trick twice. But Sejun says that he will really give it to him for free, and he will even consider the 5 fish he ate earlier as just a treat. And Theo looks at him with big, hopeful eyes as he asks if he really meant that. But even this kindness is not for free. Sejun asks Theo if he could work with him in exchange. And as Sejun smiles and asks Theo what he thinks, he has added one more chapter to his diary about getting lost in the tower. He met a partner today who was just a pushover. This video ends here. It seems that there is still some time for the story to reach the point we saw in the first chapter. But we are on the right track. Let us find out how the partnership between a tower farmer and a wandering cat merchant starts in the next episode. So if you enjoyed this video, leave a like and a comment. Also, subscribe to our channel for more videos like this.